Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk Opetaia because it looks like we might be on the verge here of what could be the factor making Opetaia one of the greatest Aussie boxers of all time. In my opinion, if he's able to make this jump and really prove himself and show just how good he is, I think we're talking about no doubt the best Aussie boxer that I've ever seen, maybe the best Aussie boxer ever. And on a global stage, I think we're talking about a big pound for pound star. And what am I talking about? I'm talking about Opetaia making the move from cruiserweight up to heavyweight. Now let's get straight into the news because lots have cited this, that Derek Chisora may be taking on Opetaia, a fight wanted by Turki Al-Sheikh. Now let's start with talking about Opetaia because Derek Chisora, he's at the back end of his career. He's here to have his 50th fight, make some more money, be on the main stage. But as far as Derek Chisora and what else he's going to achieve, it is just about all said and done for Derek Chisora. As far as Opetaia, this is a big step. This is a big step. It is been spoken about for probably 10 to 12 months now. The question was if and when. It seems like that when is getting closer and closer. Let's talk about Opetaia at cruiserweight because he's been successful at cruiserweight, ring IBF world champion, wins over, especially recently, Ellis Zorro. He beat Maris Bradis. He beat Jack Massey. He beat David Niaka. And the last fight that he's been in was that Claudio Sequeiro one a few months ago now. I think it was April or June. I think it was June. He beat him in the 5th round, broke his jaw up at the Gold Coast. Now, for Opetaia, at 30 years old now, 28 wins on his professional record, it is seriously time that he needs to pick cruiserweight or heavyweight. Now, at cruiserweight, there's fights there, but those fights have been here for ages and he can't get them. Zurdo Ramirez has spent quite a lot of time avoiding this fight and now he's injured, so he has a valid excuse to not take this fight. I can understand the injury. You can't say anything else. We've seen the pictures. We know he had surgery. What the lead up before that surgery and him avoiding him then, that is the questionable part. Badu Jack, he's supposed to be taking on Noel McCallion, so that's the other belts, and there's no real clear path here for Opetaia to take any of these fights. There has been talks about perhaps a Bivol fight if Bivol makes the jump, but another person that's just had surgery, and as soon as he gets out of surgery, he'll be taking on Artur Beterbiev. So for Opetaia, if you can tell me, because I'd love to know, like, what is there left at cruiserweight? Because this guy, for me, is someone that is, he's a star. He is a star there, right? He just hasn't exploded yet for me. Like, everybody sort of knows how good he is, but for me, he's even better than what people say. And the problem is he's not getting the credit he deserves because of the people that he is being sent to fight. No offense to your Sequeiros, your Niakas, your Massis. Briadis, people do give him credit for. Ellis Zorro, people do give him credit for, but especially recently, he's not been given the credit because he's going in there in fights that he should win, dominating them, getting them out of here. Round 4, round 5, round 6 knockouts. If not against Ellis Zorro in the first round. And people are slandering him for the opponents that he is taking on as though it is a choice for Opetaia to be taking on these fights instead of a belt. And for me, that's why for a while I've been saying he needs to make the move up to heavyweight. What fight he took at heavyweight, I had no idea. I didn't think it was going to be Derek Chisora, and that brings us to now, because for Opetaia, he makes this jump. There's no returning back to cruiserweight. If he stays at cruiserweight right now, I don't see him anything to gain unless there's a contract written down that as soon as Zurdo is fixed and repaired, that fight is made. Obviously, that's not going to happen. Is there a point of Opetaia waiting until he's 31, 32 years old to make the jump to heavyweight? If he's going to make the jump anyway, make it now. You've been ring and IBF champion at cruiserweight. You have been a champion. There's no chance of him becoming undisputed at that division, especially not in the near future. So make the move up to heavyweight. There is openings for me. There is plenty of openings for someone like Jai Opetaia. We have seen the way that Usyk was able to move from cruiserweight to heavyweight, and his speed and agility, although he didn't have the size, especially not at first, the speed and the footwork was able to really make it quite easy to beat some of these high level fighters and really show that it's all about skill. At the end of the day, it is about skill, because we saw Tyson Fury, saw him fight him at a very, very heavy weight. We saw him fight at a lighter weight. It didn't make a difference. We thought, oh, you know what? He puts on this extra 20, 30 pounds. It's going to make a difference. Usyk's not going to be able to handle that weight. And we saw that it made absolutely zero difference. And for Jai Opetaia, what weight he decides to fight at, I would probably say that he should just mold himself the same way that Usyk did. There's perfect example. I can't remember what the height difference is between Usyk and Opetaia. I can't imagine it's much. Maybe 1 or 2 inches between the two. If not, they're probably around the same height. So I don't think that'll be much of a problem with the weight. How stocky he gets, I'm not sure. For me, Opetaia at this weight, at cruiserweight, is so quick and so light on his feet. He was going to want to keep that going up. You don't want to get sluggish and slowed down. The power's there. I could only imagine he's going to get more and more powerful, adding another 20 pounds onto his weight. This brings us now to taking on Derek Chisora, because this is not the opponent that I would have thought he would have taken on. To be honest, I had no idea what opponent, if and when he moved up to cruiserweight, he would take on. Moved up to heavyweight, he would take on. So, Derek Chisora, this will be his 50th fight if it is next. At 41 years old, Derek Chisora, really at the back end of his career, I'm surprised he will want to take on a killer like Jai Opetaia unless there is a big, big money in this. I thought the last fight for Derek Chisora was going to be Dillian Whyte. That is still a possibility. That fight can still happen. Dillian Whyte saying that even though he lost to Moses Itauma the way he did, that he's not done yet. And for me, that fight probably makes more sense. I don't see, if Jai Opetaia can comfortably get up to heavyweight, it really going any other way than Opetaia being just too young, too energetic, too skillful, too quick for Derek Chisora. Probably almost what we saw Moses Itauma do to Dillian Whyte. I know it's different. Moses Itauma is a heavyweight, but I'm talking about that youth. And I know Jai Opetaia is 10 years older than Moses Itauma, but Derek Chisora is 10 years older, 11 years older than Jai Opetaia. And Jai Opetaia looks very, very, very youthful still at 31. He's really not taken much damage throughout his career, especially not recently. So for me, it'll be a good fight. I want to see Jai Opetaia move to heavyweight. This will probably be the story of Jai Opetaia at heavyweight rather than Jai Opetaia being in a war against Derek Chisora. But it's a stepping stone, I guess, for Jai Opetaia. I think I'm more surprised that Derek Chisora will want this fight rather than Jai Opetaia wanting this fight. I am glad to see Jai Opetaia making a decision because I think there is so much there for Jai Opetaia to become not only a great Aussie boxer, but a great global pound-for-pound star and really mold himself the way that Alexander Usyk has. What opponent he takes on if he does make this move to heavyweight. If it is Chisora, I would expect him to get through it. If he picked a harder opponent, no offense to Chisora, I would love to see that too. Look, this hasn't been official yet. There has been no sort of news come out of the Opetaia camp to say that he has moved to heavyweight or that he has vacated his cruiserweight belts or anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see. But Jai Opetaia versus Derek Chisora could very well happen, and I think it'll be something because I think Jai Opetaia will be well too good for Derek Chisora, and I'm not sure Chisora really wants to have his 50th fight in that fashion, if I'm being honest. Alright, let's quickly duck into some other news that I have sat here, because this morning, the WBC have announced Oshaki Foster will defend his WBC Super Featherweight World title versus Stephen Fulton, the current WBC Featherweight champion, on October 25th on the Sebastian Fundora taking on Keith Thurman undercard. That's courtesy of Ring Magazine. Now, that is a good fight, I think. It's going to be close. First thoughts, I would expect Stephen Fulton to win it. Stephen Fulton, I think, is a very, very good fighter. I mean, he's only had that one loss to his record, and that was to Inui back in 2023. Oshaki Foster, although he has he got 2 or 3 losses? I think he's got 3. He lost twice quite early on in his career. I'm talking back in like 2015, 2016, maybe even 2014. And he's had some good wins recently. He beat Ray Vargas. He's beat Abraham Nova. So I think it'll be a very, very good fight. Stephen Fulton, I don't believe has to relinquish that featherweight title. I believe he still holds it, but they're going to fight at super featherweight for Oshaki Foster's belt. It'll be a good fight. I mean, the card so far, Keith Thurman versus Sebastian Fundora, followed by Fulton versus Oshaki Foster. It isn't a real... It's not going to excite a lot of people. No offense to those fans. I'm just not sure about it, eh? It's this Fundora versus Thurman that throws me. I don't think it's going to get shown much love. This one should. It is a good fight. I think most people will agree with me in saying Stephen Fulton. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm not giving Oshaki Foster credit, although I am giving him a lot of credit. I think it'll be so close. I just think Stephen Fulton is better. Last bit of news is Jamel Charlo. Now, he's taken to Instagram and he said, "My 2-year layoff was not by choice. I've been sitting back, waiting, letting them talk. But now it's my turn. I'm back sharper than ever, and I'm coming for everything they thought I lost. I'm him." In that, he also sort of hinted, he posted a few pictures, like cartoony pictures, sort of calling out Fundora, Jerome Boots Ennis, Virgil Ortiz, and Terence Crawford. For me, he's just got to get back in the ring. We haven't seen him since that defeat to Canelo Alvarez. That was back in 2023, I believe. His only fight at super middleweight, and he's going to go back to super welterweight. For me, he's got to basically do what his brother did, I believe, and that is have a fight at super welterweight. Yes, you want those names. I don't think you get them straight away. I think you take one fight. We saw his brother he took on Thomas Lamata. I think that was his name. Doesn't really matter. Charlie, he's just got to take a name. Pick one. Doesn't really matter. To be honest, if he wants a big name at super welterweight that seems justifiable, Tim Tszyu, I think that would be fine. Both of them are coming off a world title defeat. Yes, Charlo is off a long layoff, but I think there would be no doubt that Tim Tszyu would take that fight. I think if that fight's there, I think you'd take it, because if anything else, it is a big money fight, whether you take it in America or if you're able to, use yourself as sort of bait and entice him out to Australia. It would be a very big fight. I would go to that fight to see Charlo versus Tszyu. It'll be a big decision for Charlo who he takes on, whether he goes for a real easy opponent to get a quick knockout and make his name back in the headlines again, or whether he tries to take on quite a big challenge. I do believe that Tim Tszyu has dropped a few places in the welterweight rankings, but I think the name is still there. I think if Charlo beats Tszyu, it is a big enough name to make a claim for higher honours. I mean, we're looking at Keith Thurman, who he had a 4 or 5 year layoff, beat Brock Jarvis, and he's in a title fight. So in terms of what you have to do to build the rankings right now with some of these governing organisations, it's not much. And I think Tim Tszyu is enough of a name that you beat him, you get through. And I think for Tim Tszyu, is there a lot of risk in that fight? Because he could lose to Charlo. I'm not going to doubt that. There's that chance. He's coming off a pretty bad defeat to Fundora. Is there much to gain if Tszyu beats Charlo? Will he get much reward recognition for that win, or will we look at it and say, well, he hasn't fought in 3 years and his last fight was a loss at super middleweight? I don't think that will be it, but you know how the narratives are spun as things happen. Alright guys, leave all your thoughts about what we talked about today. Jai Opetaia, what do we think's next for Charlo? Is Chisora the right person? What do we think? Am I giving too much credit to Fulton? Look, I'll put a full preview to that fight when we get closer. Early doors, I'm probably saying Fulton. I do think it's a good fight. I think it's better than the main card. Let us know all your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and I'm out of here, guys. See ya!